There
Hi,
he is.
Hi,
Hey,
everyone. How are you guys?
how
Good.
are you?
I'm great.
you and Michelle coordinated outfits and everything.
Yep.
Right? Y'all
Yep.
look great. I am not staying on, but I just wanted to say, Damian, thank you so much for doing this. I mean, we thought
My
it was a
pleasure.
shot in the dark. We were like, why don't we just ask? We're like, all right, let's see what happens.
It was the
Um,
most exciting email I've gotten in a long time.
Wow.
We get lots of rock and roll stuff, but we never get real musicians. This is great.
Did we? Okay,
No.
that's
I'm gonna leave on a I'm gonna leave on a high note, and I'm gonna be like, thank you, good night.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for doing this, and peace out and have a great time.
Thanks, Linda.
better.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hi, Damian. I'm Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey,
And
Dave,
that's Michael.
Michael Glasgow.
So we
Hi.
have a question. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Kulash?
You basically can't mess it up. I think my wife realized that when directly asked, I often say Kulash, but when people ask me what my name is, I say Damian Kulash. So I think it's more Kulash than Kulash, but there's really no wrong way to do it.
So you need to know that the first thing that popped in my brain in my ADHD way is the word Pecan, which I pronounce differently depending on the context.
Yep.
Is it just the nut or is it the butter ice cream? Weird, but I think it's the only word that I've ever done that with. So now I'll know that I can mess yours up with impunity.
What about AUNT?
Oh, see, I say aunt. I feel like aunt is a little stuffy, but it depends where you're from.
I grew up in Ohio.
Yeah, but you would never say Auntie M, would you?
Yeah.
Auntie M.
That's what she said in the movie. It's Auntie M. Auntie M.
Oh, isn't it Auntie M?
Yeah.
Auntie? Oh, you're right. You're right. Nope. But see, look at my stuffy mind.
Okay.
We'll have a Wizard of Oz watch party later just for fun.
Yay.
Well, Michelle has often told me that I pronounce my last name incorrectly. So, we've had fun with that too. I say Glasgow and she say Glasgow because that's what it is.
Other people say
That's how
Glasgow.
we do it.
Whatever. Anyway, Damian,
just
thank you
be
so much for
Michael
joining.
Glaswegian.
That's right. No, he actually sounds like he's speaking English, so he's not Glaswegian. Sort of people, whatever. Anyway, Damian, thank you so much for joining us today. We super appreciate you being here. So just to start things off, let me ask you, what was your personal experience with handbells? How did you discover handbells? Why did you decide to feature them in your songs?
I played handbells in, I believe it was first grade, in elementary school, and I guess it just stuck with me. We were recording our third album in Fredonia, New York, with Dave Fridman, and trying to figure out what should play the solo in this particularly sort of dreamlike song. And I don't know where it came from. It just like popped back from my unconscious. I was like, handbells, and this goes to show what a horrible human I am. I was like, oh, we'll be able to get a set of handbells on eBay for like nothing because nobody plays handbells. Because I did the thing that you do, that like I had the same reaction to like Disneyland and Scooby-Doo, which is things that you did when you were a little kid, you forget that other people still do. Like you had a moment with it and you're like, oh, well, that now that period of the world is over. And I remember going online and being like, oh my goodness, look at this. There's a whole universe of handbells. And we rented a set of handbells to try to do that solo. And I'm sorry to say, it sounded terrible. We didn't use it, not only because we were bad handbell players, but because it was just not the right sound for that. And that is frequently the case with our creative endeavors in general, is that like you have to try a million things before you figure out the one that is somehow magical. But in the process of doing that, I fell back in love with the instrument and the people who are really great at it. And after that record was finished, sort of went down the rabbit hole a little bit more. There's a group in Los Angeles called the Alchemy Ensemble. Do you
Yes,
remember?
Baldmore.
Yeah. And at the time, I don't know if they're still, like, I've recently gone and looked for their stuff. Doesn't seem like they have continued to I can't find as much of their stuff as I could 15 years ago, but I was amazed. And so I went to I went to the church where they rehearse and perform, and watched them a few times, and just had my mind blown, and just sort of fell in love with the instrument.
That's awesome.
Well, welcome back to the fold. Welcome back to the dark
Thank
side.
you. I wish I could say that we deserve a spot here. We do not have either the technique or the patience to gain the technique that we need to become truly good players. But
That's always the
like,
thing.
No, but you have a platform and an audience,
Yeah.
and in helping get just bells in front of people
Mhm.
is appreciated so much.
Well, what I love about handbells and about I guess collaborative music in general is how visceral it makes the thing that is already at the heart of music. Sorry, that's so abstract. I'll say that again. What I love about handbells is that they sort of explode what is so beautiful about music in the first place. The 1 + 1 = 5 million quality, right? Like that. Like there's no reason why a sound wave should turn into my soul as joy or sadness or fury or lust or all of them at once if I'm really lucky. Like all of the feelings in this deep well of human soul type of way. It's just an oscillation in the air, right? Like it shouldn't feel like that. And yet when you add two notes together, you start getting these emotions, and when you start adding those chords together, you get even deeper emotions. And a lot of times that's just two sounds together equal a third sound, but every once in a while you get this sort of magical this magical alchemy, literally, into a different a sort of different territory. And handbells make it so clear that you're like, I'm just doing one note, and she's just doing one note, and yet together, suddenly music. And that kind of like atomizing of the process really makes sensible the collaborative nature of it, and how much we all rely on each other as we're playing, and how much the sort of collective emotional result is it relies on all of us. And now, like, coming from the other direction, when real handbell players see us, they're scandalized, because our technique is bad, and we're not great handbell players. But that element is there, right? That like all it really, like we're not the world's greatest guitarists either. Like, and in fact, there's only one greatest guitarist in the world out there somewhere, and who knows who she is, right? Like it's not about being the best in the world. It's about feeling that the way music connects us to
Oh my
one another.
gosh,
Yes.
And
my language.
I love, I mean, and what I love about handbells is it's like it puts anyone anywhere. Like it immediately shows you that like your job is to play this note right before they play that note, and they'll play that note again, and then you play this note back, and together you guys will become divine. And that is like utter, like, yeah, and there's no learning your finger technique on the piano, and there's no learning chord shapes on guitar. It's just literally like hit the thing.
Yes.
Hit the
No,
thing, you'll feel God. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
you once called handbells an instrument that God himself invented.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. If you've heard the snarky things I've said on stage, I apologize for all of them.
But but okay, so I've seen, of course, back was it 2010, 2011 when you did Return
Mhm.
live with handbells, and since then, you've done Kneading, Getting, and most recently, I mean, even just in April of this year, shooting the Moon, and you're still using them on stage. So what keeps you using them? Why do you keep using them?
It is that I'm going to give you another long-winded answer. Okay.
Go right ahead.
Sure.
The the thing about a live show that is so wonderful is that is the connection of the humans, right? Like we can all listen to amazing music on headphones, and there's nothing that can be an incredible experience. We can all go into our own little world of sonic bliss, but that won't do the thing that a live concert does, where like that people in the audience, your heartbeat actually starts to align with the singers and with the other players, and like that there's this very physical, unconscious connection between all of us that is so much bigger and more amazing than anything you're going to get through your screen, or you're going to get through your headphones, or the set of speakers in your studio. Um, and that's all, like that really is at the heart of what all that we're doing. Like we're obviously a band known for our ridiculous over the top videos, and all of those really are is an attempt to get back to that sense of connection and joy, because it's so hard to do through a screen otherwise, right?
Yeah.
Seeing somebody play an acoustic guitar on YouTube doesn't have the effect of sitting in front of somebody playing an acoustic guitar in the room, right? And that sense of connection is already why we're out there on tour playing shows. But even there on stage, right in front of you, we've all gotten so good at sort of reading the production, I guess is the best way to say it. Like we know how to translate the magic and we've seen, flashing lights and heard incredible guitar tones so many times that we're not going to be that you start to sort of gloss over in the way that you do when you're watching Star Wars, let's say. Like it's incredible that we're flying through outer space, but your brain knows like that's not really outer space. It's kind of, it's like, and there's something about the majesty of a rock show where it's like, it'll blow your mind for 3 songs, let's say 10 songs if you're really lucky, but you will always sort of gloss over into this world of like you're back in your own world a little bit. And so what we want to do is break that and go like and remind everybody, no matter how exciting the rest of this is, like all we're doing is like lining up a couple of little events for you to feel with us. And that magical quality of music that 1 + 1 = 5 million is like could not be more on display than when you can see with your own 2 eyes that like everybody up there is allowed to play 1 note per hand, or if they're really, really good at it, they can switch notes, or maybe if they can hold 2 bells at once, which we can't do. But they're like, by contrast, you can now make a guitar make almost any sound, and when you're in the audience, it's hard to tell what's coming to that thing, but you can always tell when someone's played that handbell, and it's not so much about that about any direct proof. It's just about pulling away any other indicator that there's a space between us, right? Like if we could do it without microphones, that would be even better. Just hear this thing. And
there's intimacy and immediacy that brings.
Yeah, exactly. And I also just love that there's the handbells on one axis are basically the simplest instrument you can have, right? They're not. The range of expression is pretty much one axis, right? How hard are you hitting that thing? And of course, there like there are lots of small variations you can do on top of all that, but like it is not from an audience perspective. The note is either on or off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's like it is just there's something so nice about bringing it down to that perfectly simple level. You can tell how much coffee I had today. The like when I was a kid, I listened to Prince all the time, and it never made me want to make music. And I've wondered why, and I realized it was because he's so good. He's so virtuosic that I loved listening to it. It blew my mind, but it never even occurred to me that was something a human could make.
It was relatable, right?
Right.
But it was punk music as a teenager where I was like, oh, I could do this, right? And not just because there were like people were bad at it. Some of it was a different emotional quality and everything, but like but that there's, again, relating to our videos, if we, they're only amazing to people because we make it very clear how we're doing this thing, and make it very clear there's no magic involved, and go like, like if you're going to see people dancing on treadmills, they're not good dancers. They're us. Like, we're like, you can see how, like, the anxiety on our faces because we're not good at this. And like, we're just like you. We just happen to spend 10 days trying to learn this. Like, anybody who spent 10 days trying to do this would be just as good at this as we are. And there's something about handbells that has, no matter how beautiful and amazing the performance, and I've seen people who do shocking things with handbells, it's still like there's no time where it ever turns to like an unbelievable, unrelatable event. You're always just hearing like, that one went dinkle and that one went ding and that one don't, you like, and that's it. All of this came from just the ding dong ding.
We're going to expose you to more virtuosic stuff, but I think, to your point with the analogy with Prince, it's like good music inspires people. It does bind our hearts together in that shared experience, but there's maybe a danger in it moving beyond aspirational to purely inspirational. That like, I'm inspired by that, I'm wild and dazzled, but I could never even see myself doing it. Wouldn't even cross my mind to aspire to do it, because it's at such a high level, which is good and bad. I mean, there's pros and cons on both sides of that.
Well, and there's so many different ways that music functions within us. Like, on our second album, we toured for 31 months and without stopping. Like, the longest break we ever took was for 10 straight days. And otherwise it was more than 2.5 years of just nonstop touring. And man, I love playing those shows, but by the end of it, nothing about that music still held anything for me, right? Like, it was like we were performing an industrial function to keep this like career moving, right? And at that point I could have stopped doing. I could have just like given up. And I had the good luck to be invited to a sort of a conference of politically minded musicians in New Orleans. And it was just, this was right after the flood, and I mean, a couple of years, maybe 2 years after the flood, and we were all there to sort of do what we could to rehabilitate New Orleans and the music scene there. And in the process, just watched a bunch of people in a city enjoy music that could not be recorded, that would not be, that couldn't even be experienced from the outside, right? Like that, like you watch a second line parade. When you're in a second line parade, marching through New Orleans, you're probably not even in the same part of the song as somebody who's a half a block from you. There is no shared anything over the course of the piece. All that exists is the subjective experience of being part of that thing, right? It's the exact opposite of playing the song for the 256th straight night to a bunch of people who are really there to see the headlining band who's playing after you, right? Like, it is all about your own experience and nothing to do with some outside thing. There's no product, there's no recording, there's no sheet music, there's no anything. And neither of those is more right or wrong in terms of music. They're like the being inspired by Itzhak Perlman or picking up a violin for the first time and going like, wait, you can rub this thing? Like, both of those can be like life-changing experiences. And I have 7-year-old twins who are literally picking up their first instruments right now and watching, like, noticing that for them to discover what a major third is may be a bigger moment in their lives than Prince sitting in my bedroom playing for me. You know what I mean? Which never happened, by the way. But but like, there is no like connecting to other human beings from it happens in all directions. You can be listening to it from someone else's music. You can be making it and going, oh my God, I could play this for other people. You could just, oh boy. Anyways, I could go on and on and on. Obviously, I can't be stopped. But the point is, I don't think there's it is not about only inspirational or aspirational. It's just about like, this is a great way to get past the loudness of our conscious minds, as you can hear my own doing. Like that, the music is the way we get to the feeling, and it doesn't matter if you're a genius or not. It just matters that you are feeling it. You know.
So you talk a lot about collaboration and human connection and everything. And you guys used, what was that, on the Invisible Made Visible show, when you did that, you had an app that the audience used to play along with you. And so, and I think I just read that you were one of the people who designed the actual app. So you do software as well?
Andy, our guitarist, Andy is a programmer, so he wrote that app. I mean, I helped design it in broad strokes, but it's really his work.
Okay, cool. So, how did you decide to do an app of all things? I mean, was it just because you're a programmer and you said, hey, let's do an app? Or
I'm back to the same ball of
get them involved?
this. I'm sorry, I keep on just going on to my little rants. The idea, like what we wanted to do, this was a collaboration we did with This American Life. They were doing they were trying to do a live show that would happen in movie theaters simultaneously across the country.
Ah, okay.
And so the idea was, how do you do something? How do you collaborate with people across space and time like that? Like, it's ostensibly real time, but of course, you can't really, you never know what the lag is or whatever. But it was sort of like, what can we do? How can we be in the room with those people? And how can we bring them on stage with us, whether or not it's the people literally in the room that we were in or in any of these theaters. And I don't remember the ideation process getting to there, but I do remember how that we knew we sort of nailed it when it was like, yeah, everybody has this recording device and instrument and filmmaking machine and everything. Like, everybody has one of these. So if we can tell this to be a handbell, then everybody can play with us. And one version was, maybe we actually had one for a while where you just do this, you ring your bell this way, and that was fun, but it was a little it relied too much on people to already get the feeling of collaboration, that you're going to have one or two rings in the next 18 bars. You know what I mean? Like and then we we tried a couple different things and realized that the Guitar Hero model works pretty well, which is, don't expect people to read sheet music. We're terrible sight readers ourselves. Like, just have people's notes come to them. And when they're like, and give them 3 notes each, and everybody can, like, as long as it's doesn't start too complicated, everybody can have fun doing it. And the cloud of mistakes will be beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as long as this song isn't too non-diatonic, like, then it'll just be these extended beautiful chord shapes when people are kind of, and so we arranged the piece so that most of the important lines were like, if you really needed to hear a melody line or spell out the chords, we were doing it on stage with handbells. But everybody in the audience had their virtual handbells and could hear, everyone's speaker was all the way up. And when you have, whatever, a couple thousand of these at once playing with the variety of people's rhythmic senses and hand-eye coordination, you get these beautiful clouds of chords that sort of shift along with the music, and it was really, really fun. And again, it had a lot of that New Orleans inspiration, which was like, the point is not, I don't know if there's any recordings that exist of what it sounded like in the room, but it wouldn't matter. Like, the magical thing was to be there. Every single seat in the house has a different mix of this insane orchestra of handbells.
I love this. I love that you're so in tune with that, because I direct a church bell choir, and I have for many years. And sometimes, after they play, they're like, oh, I didn't hit this note. I didn't get that note. I'm like, but you moved the audience. You made a connection with them. And that's what's important. I mean, if I want to listen to perfect, I'll go listen to a recording because it's
Yep.
been edited, it's been curated, everything's perfect in that. But that human connection, live music is so different. I was at an event this past weekend. Our director Brenda said, that concert will never happen exactly the same way. We could all, same people could gather together, play the same music, but that concert would never be the same.
Right.
Can't play
Never.
the same concert twice.
And
No.
that experience, like we've all said something to the effect of, music binds our hearts together is how I always say it. It's that shared experience. And I think to Damian's point about, the collaborative process, bells are a collaborating instrument unto themselves.
Yes.
It's one of very few single instruments that is team played. So,
Yeah.
well, the orchestra, the band, everybody has their line, has their part, which is true. But in bells, it's even broken down into a smaller microcosm where it's just a few notes you're responsible for. And
Yeah, I love. I mean, I always imagine like a bunch of kids at a piano who all have their own notes.
it's literally been done. That's
Yeah.
there's a video of that. That's just amazing. And
Everybody's like, wow.
that was like, okay, Ring of Fire, that was a long time ago.
For sure.
Which kind of makes it hard to believe that, Here It Goes Again, which was, the treadmill video.
Yeah.
It's been now next year is 20 years. Hate to call that out. Like, wow, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Gee, thanks, pal.
Hey.
No, I'm kidding. I couldn't. I actually am happy that it is graduating into sort of like grandpa territory. Cultural grandpa territory. Like it's not. It is. It gets to be a thing that happened that changed culture in a particular direction, as opposed to like currently relevant.
Well, let me push on that just a little bit, because by contrast, Love came out earlier this year. It was like April, about 7 months ago. So that's gotten some 8 million views on YouTube. And I will take credit for a few dozen of those, because when I saw the video, I was so, to your point, that we're not just showing you the final edited product. We're showing you how we're doing what we're doing. And the fact that it was all in one take, and the trivia behind what went into it, and how many pieces of equipment, and how many tons of things, and how many mirrors got broken, and all that stuff. I was just like enthralled watching that and thinking, wow, this not only is impressive, but like risky. Like there's some heavy machinery here. This could be very injurious. Why do it that way? And then I started drawing corollaries to handbells. There is a quartet out of Colorado called Forte, which, if you're not familiar with them, look them up.
Will do.
I think you guys are kind of the pop sphere. OK Go is to the pop sphere what Forte is to handbells. It's a quartet, and they're all kick-ass, wonderful, amazing musicians. But it's not good enough for them just to play a quartet and perform it well. They literally, you used this word earlier, they literally talk about preparing their pieces by breaking them. We're taking a standard piece that's for 3 or 4 octaves, typically played by 10 or so people, that we are breaking and rebuilding with all this crazy choreography. And they're playing, hands between each other, and someone's running around and doing this, and literally going under tables and mallets just flying. And it makes it more complicated. It makes it more immersive, and it makes it more engaging. So yeah. I'm just curious, with all the stuff you've done, with all the wacky, weird, different, unusual, didn't think that could be a music thing or whatever, how does the creative process go for you guys? Like, how does something start, where ideas obviously come from a bunch of different places, but after the idea is there, how does it run?
Well, it gets a little semantic in terms of what's an idea and what is not. But I'm in the middle of actually thinking this through for a talk I have to give, and I will give you this version. The most sort of light bulb moment we ever have is very small. It's sort of like, oh, look at that, that's cool. Right. And after that, everything is a process of play and discovery that, like, we, especially in today's world of infinite content, so to speak. I mean, that word always gets me, but where everybody's got basically the whole mode, the whole means of production of Hollywood and professional studios and everything all in their pocket, and the distribution network for it with social media. There's the idea that you're going to sit down and think through a bunch of interesting combinations of things that will be fresh and surprising and unique to people is insane. The only way you can really discover that thing is to put yourself in a position that other people generally aren't in, and start figuring out where the surprises are. Like,
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, novelty and newness are not the only way that things are emotional or meaningful. In fact, sometimes they mask that, because it's easy to be sort of like wowed by novelty and then realize that had no emotion to it whatsoever. But I do think that, like, that feeling of creativity, that feeling of things lining up unexpectedly, has a lot to do with surprise and a subversion of your expectations, right? That, like, this isn't what you thought it was, and so you are sort of definitionally looking for things that line up in an unexpected way, and if you are sitting there just planning that in your head, you are basically already lost, because you're lining up your expectations, right? Like, you go like, what would be the weirdest thing that I could think of next? But that will, the way you're going to test that is going, well, how would I feel if that were to happen? You're already, it's just a whole slew of expectations and what you think is going to happen. Whereas if you, like, when you put a bunch of handbells on a table and say, like, what you find you're good at, what you find sounds good, what you find is interesting, is not at all what you thought it was going to be. Like, yes, you need some sort of armature of a plan, like, let's try to play this piece or let's try to play that, but, like, it turns out to be not quite what, it's sort of boring, or it's much more repetitive than I thought it was, or I really thought that big low sound was going to be so big and boomy and exciting, and really kind of just like, you hear the clang and then some low end, but it doesn't do the thing, or what, like. And that is all in the world of handbells, but it's the same thing in filmmaking or in songwriting or in like engineering a Rube Goldberg machine. Like, you're not, though. Like, the only real thing is to be really honest with yourself about what your reaction to what you just experienced was, and to be able to see sort of a finer grain of detail in events around you, where most people might go like, yeah, I've seen that before, and you go, I've seen that before, but did you notice how it felt kind of different at the end? Or yeah, it didn't work, but this part did. Or I thought, yes, I felt mostly anxiety, but there was a part of it that actually made me feel strangely safe. Like, that kind of, like, is, if you can start to pull out those little internal responses, then you can start to line things up in a way that you couldn't have planned without the experience.
There's got to be some sort of experimentation, trial and error type stuff, because, like you said, if you do it all, try to plan it all from the get-go, you're I guess not leaving room for the creative muse to kind of
totally move. So, like, with our mirrors and robots video, it literally started with me seeing a mirrored toy of my kids on the floor sitting next to a mirror on the wall, and picking it up and going, oh my gosh, there's that reflection of a reflection thing that I remember from my parents opening closet doors that face each other, right? And I was like, that's a big sandbox, I think. Right? Like, there's more than one trick here. And thinking through it a little bit, and I think this is, and that's the only, like, that was the only aha of the whole thing. And then after that, it's writing to a friend of mine who I know is a very good technologist and director, and saying, I got an idea to do with mirrors, and I think we'd probably need robots to make it work. Do you know any good roboticists? And from the, like, and then he was in, and then we talked a little bit, but basically, the roboticist and my collaborator, I mean, both are collaborators, but the roboticist and the director friend came to LA, and we spent a full week just playing with mirrors, like going, what if we did this? What if we did this? And we're not at any point in there trying to go, okay, what does the video look like or feel like yet? We're just going, here are all the things we could build an idea out of. And it's really at that point it's just building a vocabulary with which to later have an idea. I would like, for me, it doesn't even feel like an idea yet. It's just building the sandbox and figuring out what's in there. Then in a couple of other test sessions later, we're ready to start, making an actual plan.
I think that's literally how probably most of our handbell special techniques were invented, is people just messing around, playing, experimenting, having fun, misbehaving perhaps, whatever.
Yeah.
Something comes out of it. So I hope that we'll have a lot more opportunities to do some stuff with you guys. It's so refreshing to hear people in mainstream music refer to handbells as real music.
Yes.
Because that's the stigma we've been fighting to, get that we're not real music, to get out of that people think it's just a little novelty toy at Christmas. And it is that, but it can be so much more. So thank you for what you guys are doing to raise the awareness. And, let us know. Michelle's an expert handbell technician and can help you guys with your technique. And we can have you guys to one of our national seminars and stuff. Like we'll teach you some more bell stuff.
We're ready. We're ready to learn. We're ready to become. We are currently in the 7-year-old mode, and we're ready to move towards the Prince mode. Prince of handbells.
Well, we're ready whenever you guys are. Thank you for being with us today.
This has been so fun. Thanks so much.
Have an awesome holiday.
You too.
Thanks. And
Bye-bye.
cheers.